Hi, friends. Welcome back. You have found me on Pink and Man's either YouTube channel or Facebook page, and I am so grateful that you're here. My name's Caitlin, and if you are new here or watching later, tonight we are going to be wrapping up a really fun fall scene card that we started on Tuesday. So if you missed part one, you can always go back and rewatch. All of the lives get saved on both YouTube and Facebook, so you can always check them out when you need to. But this is kind of our starting point. This is what we prepped on Tuesday. So we went in with the Happy Place stamp set, as well as these back trees are from, sorry, that one. These are from the Oh Christmas Tree stamp set. We did some masking, we layered a bunch of stamps, we ink blended, and now we're going to be working on copic coloring and heat embossing a sentiment to finish our scene. I'm very excited. It's going to be so cute. I see lots of people already checking in on the chat. So I want to shout out Virginia, Leslie, Susan, Michelle, Irma, Carmen, Mary, Connie, Barbara, Annette. I'm so excited to see you all here. We are definitely going to be doing some great coloring today and bringing this whole scene together. So I'm going to go ahead and switch our camera view. There we go. We'll get you guys zoomed in a little bit more. So this is where we're starting from. Like I said before, we used, I have them all still right here. Get a nice background. We used the Happy Place stamp set, which has these really cute little campers and camping scene elements to build up our scene. We stamped in some extra trees. And we ink blended with a combination of barbershop ink and the park ink from, and I think a little construction from Pink and Main, and then a little bit of Rustic Wilderness, which is what we used for these trees and the outer part of the grass. I also see Kelly and Kelsey checking in. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and start coloring. I'm just going to start from my left and work across so that I'm not, my Copic colors really don't smear, but it's easier for me to just kind of work my way across. So I'm going to pick some greens that are close-ish to those back trees, but it doesn't have to match. And I am going to pull out my hex chart for this. It's going to make my life a lot easier. So I see Geo7 is like a good starting point. And then maybe we'll go like G29 for our darker shade. And we need a highlight. What looks good? Geo5 looks a little like teal almost. Maybe that YG45 will jump families a little bit. YG45. Let's try that. I'm just going to set my hex chart to the side. Oh, Kelsey, I'm so glad that you made it too. At least we know they're always saved if in case you need them, but I'm excited that you're here to watch live. So I'm going to start out with my dark shade. This is that G29. I'm going to go in and start laying down my shadows under that first layer. Just kind of following, and then we can start pulling some color out from there. Just kind of making these little flicks, almost like little feathers. Hey, Irma. I see Raquel checking in too. Perfect. We're going to just repeat this the whole way up our tree. And that little bit of green ink that came through our Post-it mask is going to get completely covered up. So it's not going to matter because we're just adding more green right on top. Sorry, I just realized I'm like bouncing my leg, trying to stop. Not sure if it's moving either me or the desk, probably both. I'm having a very fidgety night. And then I'm going to pull that color from the top because especially for this night scene, our light source is the fire. So there wouldn't be sunshine shining down on the top of the tree. The top of the tree would be more in shadow. And speaking of that, that's cool. Um, we'll bring in like a yellow here and there I'll show you, and we'll use it to kind of highlight and create that glow effect while we're already in here. Oh, Carmen is prepping trunk or treat bags. That's exciting. Oh, hey, Kendra. Kendra said, did I just do all of this in the last 5 minutes, or is this a continuation? This is a continuation from Tuesday. We prepped our scene on Tuesday so that we were ready to copic color it in today, Kendra. So don't worry, don't have some like magical powers where I can just do a whole scene in the first couple minutes. I wish that would be a lovely talent to have. So I'm going to go in with that YG45 for my highlight. And I'm going to fill all of this in, and then we'll tint the colors with that yellow to create that glow in a second. Because even with the yellow glow, the tree would still, it's far enough away that the tree would still look green. It would just look like a really warm green where that firelight is hitting it. If you wanted it to look more dramatic, you could definitely leave some white space to fill in with the yellow, but I am just going to take this Y38, let's say, so you don't get the glare, and I'm going to just kind of flick some of that color up on the little edges that are facing that fire, just like that. And when we do the same thing kind of over here on the sign work, again, it'll give that feeling that there's that glow coming from the fireplace or the bonfire, that one. Hey, Dawn, checking in. Yeah, no problem. Kendra, if you, I'm pretty sure you know how to build a scene. But if you want to go back and check all of that uh, process is over on, where are you watching from? You're on YouTube. It's in the YouTube that's saved from the other day. So I'm also going in with a little bit of that medium Geo7 shade and just kind of adding a little bit here and there where my mask might not have touched those background trees completely. There's like a little space. I need also to go in with a little bit of a blue, and this doesn't have to be exact. You want a close color if you can, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Your eye will still read this correctly. Even if the color is not absolutely perfect. So if you can see right here around the tree, our mask didn't quite touch, but once you fill it in with the marker and you see it as a whole scene, it'll all work together. It'll all make sense. And the same thing over on this side, we have kind of like a dusky green. We're just gonna go in on these little white spots around the tree and fill that in. It's just easier for me in my mind to just pick a close color and make it work versus like panicking myself trying to have the most absolute perfect mask, because that's just for me, that's just not realistic. Fussy cutting is such a process already that I will drive myself nuts, or it won't be fun anymore and I'll stop doing it, honestly. This was G82, and the green that I used around the tree was G07, and I pulled in a little bit of B95 for the one little part of the sky. Let's see, can we get them? There we go. So those are the three colors I used so far, kind of around my elements. You know, we'll go ahead and do a little bit of that G07, that same tree green over on this side, right up against our signposts. That should be fine. Okay. And I have a little blue spot missing on this side as well. Just fill that in, just like that. Again, it's not absolutely perfect, but as it kind of dries down, it'll be fine. All right, let's get our tree trunk taken care of. I'm going to go in with E49 and put that right along the left side where that light's not going to be touching. Kind of just creating a little bit of a bark texture. I'm going to save this to the side and we'll do the trunk and the wooden sign out of the same shades to just keep a little more of a cohesive look. I'm going to go in with one shade lighter, that E47. We're going to completely fill in the left side that's away from our light source. And we'll grab 44. Where are you? That's interesting. It's hiding somewhere. E44, where did you go? Cool, cool, cool. I know I refilled it because my E44 refill marker or refill container is right here. But that's okay. 34 is going to work. 34 it is. And honestly, that's warm enough in contrast that that'll give us that glow effect without having to add any of that yellow. So that's fine. Thanks, Dawn. Dawn said she likes the yellow on the tree reflecting the firelight. Oh, Mary, I appreciate you over here. It's so funny trying to figure out like if the YouTube is more popular or the Facebook page is more popular. I think a lot of people rewatch on both, honestly. So, but I'm sure it's a lot more fun, Mary, if you can see what everybody else is saying. I'm gonna make the executive decision to make these kind of lumpy things in the background all rocks. I'm pretty sure you could make them a like a bush if you wanted to, but we're just gonna rock it up. And while we're in here with our W7 warm gray, I'm gonna start adding some shading to these rocks. We'll jump up to a W5. And these can definitely have more of that darkness, where that side's going to have a good little highlight. And on these rocks, I'm going to keep that color really low because the firelight would be reflecting off of the top of these as well. Go to 3. So we're doing 7, 5, and 3. And around the fire, this is so close to the flame that I'm going to leave that white space at the top, like I mentioned before, so that the yellow is very prominent. I still want it to be like a warmer, orangey yellow, but it's a little much for right there. So I'm going to lay down just a little bit, and then I'm going to go in with maybe some Y17 or Y15. Yep. And kind of blend that down into that warm gray. You know, we can flick a little bit of that because I already have it out. It'll just help kind of blend that orangey shade into the green a little more, just as like a transition. So now our little ring is glowing and nice and toasty. Just like that. We do need a little, yep. I'm going in with Y21 to shade any little bits that are kind of warmer right around our fire that we missed. That's our kind of background shade match for that. And then this is just like some dirt. So honestly, I'm going to bring in those same brown markers we just used, the E47, and we'll just lay in some shadows on here and then blend that out with the E34, just the whole thing. You can definitely pick and choose with a scene like this what you want to really dedicate a lot of time on and what you don't, because not everything is going to be or should be the focus of your scene. Some things naturally just have to be the background. They have to just be filler. Not everything can be the star, or it will just, it'll pull your eye in too many places. All right, so for that little log in the fire, I ran some of the E47 in, and I'm going back in with that orangey, same Y38 color. You know, we can go in now and shade in that fire. I'm not somebody who does blue in my fire. And I also am not somebody who can remember off the top of my head if it's like yellow, orange, red, or red, orange, yellow. So I'm going to just go deeper orange, medium orange to yellow. Since all of our glow is yellow, I'm just going to make a style decision and stand by it. And honestly, if that's all you do, you're going to be okay. It doesn't, you don't have to follow all the rules. You're allowed to make some stuff up on your own if you want. It's your scene. Maybe this isn't even Earth. Maybe this is another place where fire is whatever color you want. So I used, sorry, YR09 first, and I went with YR68. I'm going to bring in, what am I going to bring in? That same one we've been using, that Y38, to start creating that transition to more yellow base. And then I can add a little bit of that just to the bottom, kind of bringing it and relating it more so to those stones that we did. We'll go in with the Y15, which is the same shade we used to blend out that color before. We can fill that in. also going to pull some of that color up into this area where, because of how I masked, you can't see the bottom of the camper anymore. And I'm going to be extra and bring in a Y11 to blend that out a little bit, but you could definitely just leave it. My poor YR11 has seen many better days. Okay, so now we have our little roasty toasty fire. All right, I want to use pattern paper from the, nope, from the Cozy Critters pattern paper pad, 6x6 pad, maybe the orange. I was thinking maybe the plaid, but I'm just worried that's going to be too much even for me. And like some of the other ones are just a little too crazy, I think, for how much we have going on in our scene already. The lighter orange is okay. I'm leaning to this deeper orange with the dot. I'm going to pull that aside now because we have to make a decision about what is happening with this camper. If it's going to be orange, if it's going to be silver. You guys let me know what you think. I had a completely different plan when I thought this out the other day, but if we're going to use the deeper orange shade for the background, what color do you guys think the camper should be? Leave me some comments and I'll work on the wooden sign since we already have those colors picked out. I'm going to go in with the E49 first. And I'm going to just start creating some wood grain texture, just some kind of wonky half finished stripes. I like to make some like very pointy, like V or U shapes. That would be like a knot in the wood. Kendra's saying gray. Yeah, like a gray silver, right? Like a metallic-y. When I was talking to my mom after my live the other night, that was her original thought too, was it going to be a metal like silver? And that wasn't the vision I saw then, but now that I see it, it's getting there. Barbara also says silver for the camper. All right, I think we have our decision. If you still also want to chime in with your opinion, feel free, but I think I'm leaning silver. I'm just thickening up these wood grain marks we created with the 47. Yeah, like an Airstream, right? Yep. Perfect. And I'm going to go in with that 34 again. Blend that out. It's just going to soften that wood grain and kind of bring it all together so it doesn't look like crazy tiger stripes. It's going to look like wood grain. Just like that. Bring that up closer so you guys can see. Go. Perfect. Silver or gray. Maybe orange for the back where the zigzag is. Yeah, I was thinking maybe like orange accents, right? Like where maybe for the curtains. And like for the little bush that's in front of this one, we can bring in some more orange because I do like to have, besides the background in the scene, I like to have like our accent color in 3 places. So having orange curtains, orange in the fire, and the orange bush, I think is like a perfect balance. Perfect. Even Carmen, Pam, everybody's voting orange. Mary, everybody. Love it. I love it when we all come together and can agree like that. It also makes me feel so much stronger decision. All right, so same combination from before. No, I said that, but I just grabbed the wrong marker. That was YRO7, but I meant to go in with YRO9. So we're going to add YRO9 right on top of that. And then YR68. And I'm just kind of scrubbing in little tiny circles to blend that out. And then the Y38 that we've been using will be our highlight. Just like a fun little fall, right? Kind of autumnal little bush. It's crazy how fast it really does come together, right, Pam? Like, I mean, granted, we are 26 minutes in, but like now all we have is the camper. So I'm going to go actual gray because I don't want this to look like the stones. But I think a cool gray would be too cold with how much warmth and this orange background. So we're going to go neutral. And I'm still going to pull in some darker markers because it's still a night scene and I still want some contrast. So I think we're going to start with our N6. I grabbed way more colors than I'm going to end up using, I think, but this is a lot of space compared to everything else. And we're going to start on this back corner where it's kind of, the camper is kind of tucked into the trees. And so there would be a lot less light and there would be no reflected light. And I'm also going to follow the zigzag. I know we said you could do like a color on the zigzag if you wanted, but I want it to kind of look more like it's like embossed or like not indented like a bad thing, but like it's like pressed in, like it's printed into our camper. Like a tone on tone kind of thing. And I'm going to let that shadow kind of peter out on the bottom because the flames would be like coloring there. Then I'm going to jump to N5. And we're going to blend this whole back section, fill all of that in, as well as where that line is. And we can run this along the top because I really wouldn't be getting any light. Following the artist's drawn line, following the natural shape of that curve. And then we can pull that over. We'll do this like bottom section separate. It's just too much to try to blend at once. So that was N6 and then N5. Then we can jump to N3. Fill in. I'm not going to fill in the whole top, but we're going to fill in a good bit. And if you ever feel like you have any harsh lines or kind of streaks, you can always go back to your dark and pull it all the way across. And that will help. I'm also going to add a little bit of a shadow right along the outline of the door, as if it's kind of like set back in there a little bit, where the hinges would kind of be. We'll work on that bottom part in a second. And then I'm going to go in with, I think, N1, but if it's too light, we'll see. We can shift. No, I think I like that. We're just going to have to layer it and kind of take our time letting that marker lay on the paper so that that ink has a chance to sink in. My marker is a little dry. using the side of my marker and really letting it rest on that page. It's just going to let that ink transfer. I'm going to bring in that Y11 that I used earlier one more time. And we can kind of add little bits of it here and there. Probably gonna go back in with my N1 to kind of blend that out. Just like that. Okay. And then on this front section, we will go in with that N5. So I'm skipping the darkest one. Oh, Hocus Pocus, Pam is one of my all-time favorite movies. Not even Halloween movies, just one of my all-time favorite movies. So you're definitely speaking my language. I'm going to grab my N3 and start pulling that color out. I think we're going to go in and deepen up this bear in a minute. So it's okay if anything kind of gets overlapped over there. And then I'll bring in that N1 one more time. This front section. Okay. I think we're going to do the door and the wing also in the middle. So I'm going to add a little bit of shadow the same way I added a subtle shadow around the door. I want to add a slightly more dramatic shadow on the inside of the door, on the top of the handle, because the light is kind of coming from the bottom. And we can also add a little bit on the top of that window. Back in with our medium, and 3 will fill in this whole section that's away from the fire. Pull that down and around. Just like that. And go back in with that 1. I have to set this marker aside and give it some love and a good refill after this. And I want it to overlap with some of that yellow. It's the same thing. I still have my Y11 right here. So we can kind of go right back in and add some more if we want. Blend it right back out. Don't be afraid to like go back and forth with some of these colors until it looks the way that you want. I kind of really like this white wall effect on the tire, but I do want to add a little bit of shading, I think, in like this center section. So same, still working with those same 3 grays at N5, N3, and N1, but I'm going to leave that white band there. Really like that. Carmen said her and her granddaughter were watching Hocus Pocus 1 and 2. They love it too. Love that. I don't know what this little circle is, but I'm just going to fill it in with the N1. For my glass, I'm going to go in with some very light B markers. We're going to go B00, and I'm going to add some shading to those kind of streaks. And then right along the top edge under the curtain and along that seam of the window. And then we're going to blend that out with a B quadruple 0. And that will help it to just kind of look like that blue tint. and like a glassy look versus like these are blue windows or like a blue light. So B00 and B'0. I'm still thinking I want this wing thing to be silver too. So N5. Yeah, probably a tail light, Dawn. You're probably right. I don't know. One of my aunts has a really cool camper too. I should know. I should know better at this point. All right, and then the last thing is going to be these curtains and this bear. So I'm going to bring in those same orange markers as before. That YR09. Add some shading to, I guess this is like an awning, it seems like, on the outside and then curtains on the inside. But we're just going to say that they match. It's like a matching set. This person just loves orange and decided to just go for it. They got the awning that coordinated with their curtains. Okay, YR68, pulling that color down and in between the scallops. And we'll just fill in the curtains. Because if they're inside the camper, they're going to be getting less light than the awning. And then that Y38 on the awning. And just again, doing kind of little circular motions to kind of break up the lines that I created. There we go. And I do still just think I want this bear to be a little bit darker. I'm warning you now, this could be the thing where I mess up and it could all basically be a mess from here, but I'm going to try. I'm too scared to go in with 100. So I'm going to go in with an 8 and give our bear a little shape up. It's really easy. It's basically just, well, it should be pretty easy. It's basically just tracing. And I'm gonna just fill him in solid. Flipping my paper whenever it makes it easier for me, but you can see the difference, right? Like in the opacity of that black marker versus the stamping that we did. And that's not because it's not a good ink. It's, I hadn't used that stamp before, and it's just a really wide space to get a really opaque, dark, solid stamping. This side. And I am going to be trimming out some of the bear. What I need to do is when I'm coloring on the edge, not be coloring on our pattern paper, that's for sure. Kind of liked having it there just to keep reminding myself of where we were going color story wise. There we go, there's our bear. Little bear. So I love this. I think it looks so cool. Before I get it attached to the background, I want to do my sentiment and add some stars. So we're going to bring back out our Misty. Let's see if I can zoom this out a little bit then. Okay. This X chart away. In that same stamp set, we have the Life is an Adventure. That's the sentiment I want to use. It's going to go right here between these trees. And because we're going to go in with the white, I feel pretty good about overlapping some of those trees a little bit. It's okay. I want to make sure this is straight. It's pretty close. Let me just adjust a little bit. I went too far. You know what else I can do too, if that's getting frustrating, is take a little, like a ruler. That's pretty good. Kind of using my lines on my um, Misty door to help me. I'm going to go in with my anti-static, magic anti-static brush. Give that a good thorough dusting. I have my heat gun. Just put it in so it's ready to go. I'm gonna set it aside to warm up back behind me. Hopefully it's not too bad. Either way, it should be fresh. I'm gonna go in with my embossing ink a couple times just to make sure I get a really good impression. Okay. And then well, Dawn, I'm sorry that you guys are dealing with that, especially so close to home. These are so scary in the world. Then with my frosting embossing powder, dust off the excess. That looks like a really good impression. And because we did the powder and we let the ink blending that we did on Tuesday dry for so long, nothing is sticking at all. I'm gonna mute really quick and bring my heat gun over and melt this, and I'll be right back. Okay. While my paper is still warm, I'm going to attempt to kind of flatten it out a little bit. We're going to go in with a gel pen and add in some highlights. Or no, not highlights, sorry, some stars. You could add in some highlights too, but I think we're pretty good. I'm cleaning up a little spot where my orange kind of got out of line. And then I'm going in with a 10 gel pen. So it's just a little bit bolder. And I'm going to do some areas where I'm making like an actual circle and some where I'm just going to dot. And I want there to be way less in the center here where we have the sky a little lighter, and really add a bunch over on the edges where we put that little extra touch of the black. As long as we keep these up and we don't make, and we're careful to not overlap anything, um, the uh, the stars will look like stars. If we wanted it to look like snow, we would just make an effort to make sure we're putting the white on top of everything else. So that is what our scene looks like. But now we have to turn it into an actual card. And this is the easiest part after all of that we've been through together. So I am going to trim this down. I don't want to cut off my sign much. So we're going to trim from that side. What are we down to? About 5 1/4. So we'll just go to 5. We'll do a little bit off of each side. And then the same thing. I don't want to lose too much of the fire. And it doesn't have to be exactly even, right? I don't want to lose too much sky either. So for me, that's good enough. I don't know why I put that away. We have to trim down our. It does kind of look like a little cloud, right? Like it's definitely, it looks like it belongs in that sky. I know that for sure. So 4 1/4, 5 1/2. And to help flatten this out, because I did get a little bit of warping from my heat gun from embossing, I'm going to go in with our favorite foam tape, and we're going to add that to the back of our panel that we covered. Oh, thank you so much, Dawn. I really appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of very scary things happening in the world right now. And I don't know about you guys, but I know it's important to stay up on important current events. But sometimes it is so nice to have something like card making to turn to, where I feel like I can escape even just for a little bit and kind of just make a happy little, right, like a happy little story, a happy little world within my card. That, you know, we can't control a lot in life, but I definitely am in a better place mentally having found card making, that's for sure. My blade on my cutter needs to be replaced already. So I'm going over it with a sanding eraser just to make sure I don't have any little like fuzzy paper bits hanging around. And then we get that attached. That can go right onto a side folding A2 card base. And that is our completed scene card. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I am so appreciative for everybody who has requested a technique or put questions in the comments for me. Please continue to do so. Someone requested an older stamp set and to see a scene card come together, and this was so fun. So if you have any requests, definitely don't hesitate to put them in the comments. I'm always going back and checking. I appreciate you guys so much. Let me flip this back around. So yeah, thank you guys. I hope that you have the most amazing weekend. I will be back next week on Monday and Thursday because of Halloween. So I'll put up a reminder probably on Sunday and then again Monday earlier. I'll try to get the link out as a reminder. That will be Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and Thursday next week. I have nothing planned yet. So if you have a request, I'm not kidding, please leave it because I will do my best to meet your needs and answer your questions. But yeah, again, just so grateful if you guys, nope, that's not what I was going to say. I hope you guys have a good weekend. I hope everybody does stay safe. I hope you get into some fun or on purpose scary things, spooky things for Halloween. But otherwise, enjoy the nice weather if you're getting nice weather. If you're on the West Coast and you're getting snow, I'm so sorry. But we're going to be like 80 degrees here in Delaware this weekend, and I am so excited. It'll be like our last hurrah before it's cold. Um, but yes, I will see you guys back here on Monday. And until then, happy crafting, guys. Have a good weekend.